I guess I should say, are my two fellow board members, John Justman and Quint Shear. Also with us is our executive director, Dusty Reimer. So the second item first item is the approval of the agenda as it was submitted to us. Are there any changes? Hearing none, I'll
approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, John. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Item 2, general public comment.
I just want to reiterate, Craig, my concerns about the fact that there's not going to be a lot of money coming into the Federal Mineral Lease District over the next couple of years. And I really do believe that the commissioners need to look at what the law will allow them to have access to, or if we can have maybe even make a change in the Federal Mineral Lease District law so that the district can do something else besides just collect money from severance from mineral leases, especially in light of the fact now we have KBR that's withdrawing now from oil and gas entirely, and Exxon is being sued. And I mean, there's gonna, a lot of these oil and gas companies, and of course, our oil and gas situation here is collapsing. So I really would like to see this district continue, but I don't think that's gonna be possible if a move is not made to ensure its financial viability.
Well, it's a federal mineral leasing district. It is not the wind and solar tax industry that we're going to get money from.
Well, there's got to be a way, John, or it's gonna die. And this is a really good process, and so you have to think outside the box. It's called the Mineral Lease District. That I understand that, but that doesn't mean that it has to be just minerals. It can be other things, but we have to move on making it something else.
Maybe we can tax electric cars and bring it into the federal mineral leasing district.
Well, you know, I've never been against that. The electric car owners do not pay any taxes for roads. And so grin all you want, you know, the truth of the matter is, John, that electric car owners are getting a free ride.
Benita, would you identify yourself, please?
Oh, Benita Phillips.
Thank you. And thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. Are there any other general public comments? Hearing none, I'll move on to item 3, the adoption of the August minutes. Has the board had the opportunity to peruse the minutes as submitted in the packet? Are there any changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we accept the minutes as written.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Item 4, the staff report. Dusty?
Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So on our social media this last month, we have our YouTube channel that we upload all of our videos to that our lives are on. We posted about our meeting minutes, our meeting agendas, we live stream our meetings, and the grant cycle due dates. We posted that our website was down, then our website was back up, and about our YouTube August meeting. We have had no media for the past month. We'll probably have some soon. There are no grants requesting payment at this time. Our invoices are for Dusty Reimer, invoice 150 for services and supplies for $3,789.97. Dufford Waldeck, invoice 21617 for $185. Chadwick Steinkircher Davis and Company, invoice 58772 for $3,700 for our audit. And then Alpine Computer Solutions, invoice number 669,722 for $600. The Alpine Computer Solutions invoice is because the issues we had with our website, and that came from an update that we did because we do updates on it regularly. It interfered with some of the code that was written. It crashed the computer back end. Then they brought it back up, they went to reestablish it and take off all the, there was a comment section that was put up on the back end of the computer that had a bunch of spam comments. So they restored it. It was back up. As they were cleaning all that off to remove it, we got hacked in the process. And so they had to go back through, remove the hacked code that was in there, then reestablish and reback it up again, and then reinstall the templates that were there. So that's why we have a $600 invoice for them. And the other thing is that he said that the template that we have purchased for our website is almost 6 years old, and that we may start running into problems with the updates with it, because after a certain point, kind of like phones, they stop doing updates for them. So that was the heads up.
Okay.
We received our DOLA disbursement, and the check was for $495,556.20, which was significantly smaller than what we were expecting. We had actually been projected to receive a small increase over the check that we'd received last year, which was $932,000. This is about a 50% decrease in that. And then our upcoming events, our grant scores will be due on October 16th. The tentative board meeting with grant awards is scheduled to be October 21st. Our board meeting, I put that in there twice, sorry. Our budgeting is due for the year, so we're gonna start our budgeting process for 2021. We have to have a 30-day notice put in the newspaper with any proposed budget that we have for a 30-day notice. It's not due until December. And that is it for our presentation.
Thanks, Dusty. Questions for Dusty? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve her staff report.
I move we approve the staff report.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Appreciate that. Item 5, review of investment account for August.
Matt is unable to join us, but his update that he did send over is that we are at 60.4% equities, which is right there at the thresholds. And I have the investment account right here. Just the review from the end of the month. It's actually up again, which is fantastic. So here is his update. The ending value at the very end of August was $1,785,858. So it's going back up, and we're maintaining very nicely.
Good. Could I have a motion to approve the investment report?
I make a motion we approve the investment report.
Moved. Is there a second?
Sorry, Craig. I'll second that.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody do that to you last time, Quint?
Oh, yeah.
Leave a hanging second out there?
It was me, Craig.
Review of financials for August, item 6.
Okay, so for our balance sheet, okay, we have $631,000 and $631,901.18 under fund balance. And then we also have $1,775,355.32 under the permanent fund. And under the grants payable account, we have a balance of $200,000. And then we're showing a net loss of $133,642.26. Okay. And under the profit and loss statement for August, we have $1,897 for legal fees, $3,896.04 for accounting fees, $3,750 for contract services, and $39.97 for dues and memberships, and an unrealized gain from the perm fund of $61,755.27, and realized gain of $6,391.14, and 4 cents of interest earned, and $1,009.15 of dividend income, which makes up to a net income of $59,572.59.
Thank you.
And so for our AP aging summary, we have $50,000 for the city of Fruita and $150,000 for the Grand Junction Police Department. Then under the budget to actual, it looks like we are still under the budget for our outside services by $29,684.42. Still under the budget for auditing expenses as of August. That'll change. And then under the budget for insurance expense, advertising expenses, and administrative expenses. That is it for the financials.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions regarding the financials for August? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we accept the financials as presented.
Thank
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 7, discussion of budget for 2021. Dusty?
Yes. So Christine started, and I've sent her over some rough numbers. I think we just put estimates in there. We sent over a copy of kind of the draft budget, and I can let Christine walk through it. But we estimated putting about $100,000 into the spring cycle and the fall cycle. And then I think it was about $75,000 is what we were estimating to put in for an investment account deposit. So just to get the discussion started, it's going to be a rough budget. So I will turn it over to Christine to kind of walk you through what she's got set up.
Thank you.
Do you want me to share my screen? Okay, can you see the budget right now? Okay.
Yeah.
So the $554,477 for the 2021 budget is based off of percentages that was provided by 2 sources that we've used in the past. I took the 18.68% that the Colorado Legislative Council provided and the 5.1% provided by the Colorado State Planning and Budget. And then we just went ahead and took the average from both of those sources and got to 11.89% increase in revenue. So that got us to that $554,477 from the for 2021. And then for the administrative expense, we increased that by $1,500 because we went ahead and reduced the advertising expense by the same amount. Just went ahead and moved that up to administrative expenses. For audit, contract labor, and insurance, we kept it at the same amount. And then the same for dividends and capital gains, we left it at $30,000 and $14,000 for investment fees. We also allocated $200,000, like Dusty said, for grants to be awarded for 2021, just so there's $100,000 for each of the grant cycle. And then $75,000, which is pretty much a rough estimate of the contributions to the PERM fund for 2021. That's it. Any questions?
Board members, questions or comments?
No questions.
It is what it is, Craig.
I guess the real philosophical question in front of us is the contributions to the permanent fund. If you know, our income was that low, and you know, I don't know, that's the philosophical question for me that I see there that we got to talk about. But it's something for us. This is preliminary. We've got plenty of time to consider it, and so we appreciate the submittal, and we will keep that on the ensuing for ensuing meetings and for changes or an approval ultimately in December, correct? Dusty?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, review and approval of the bylaws.
Yes, sir. Everybody has a copy of the updated bylaws, and they tabled it for this meeting because they wanted all 3 board members to be present in case you had any additional insights to add, Mr. Springer.
Board members?
I think we had those bylaws where we wanted them. Craig, I think we just wanted to make sure you had the opportunity to make any additional comment.
Okay, thank you. I'm good, I think. So if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution amending the bylaws. Resolution MCFML 2020-01.
I would move we accept the resolution as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you very much. Unscheduled business. The only thing I'm aware of there is that we at the management of Home Loan has determined that we are opening our lobby on October 5th. So I'll leave that at the board's pleasure. If we want to go back to meeting in the basement will be open on October 5th. All the regulations and rules and everything that are applicable at that time, we will be adhering to, but it is our intention to fully open the building on October 5th, Monday, October 5th. So I don't think we need to necessarily announce that right now that we're moving back into that, but it's something for all of us to think about and comment on as we move forward.
I think the big thing there will be what they limit you to capacity down there, Craig. I think we have plenty of room down there, but that'll be the big determination, won't it?
Makes sense. And so, yeah, we might want to think about that. Look into that for me, Dusty, would you please? And make sure we're in compliance there.
My understanding is it's 500 people, or was it 75% capacity of what you can hold? I don't think you can put 500 people down there, but it's, that's as many people on the 3rd variant stage that we were allowed, I think, to have in groups.
If everybody had a beard the size of Quince, we couldn't.
Yeah.
But
I think it'd probably be okay, but I mean, between now and then, that's a month away. Things could stay like they are today, get worse or get better, who knows?
yeah, and these Zoom meetings are working. I mean, we're able to conduct business and move it forward. So it's not like we're forced into it, but I leave that at the pleasure of everybody else to decide if they want to be in person or continue with Zoom. I'm okay either way. Why don't we, we'll leave that with you, Dusty. You figure that out, okay? If you maybe pull the board and do what you need to do there.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Is there any other unscheduled business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
22.
We will then reconvene into a workshop to consider the grant applications for the 2020 fall cycle. Dusty.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody, for participating in our fall grant cycle. So we're going to start like we usually do with our traditional grants going first. You have 5 minutes and we're screen sharing, so you can go ahead and get your stuff loaded up on your computer, and you're allowed 5 minutes. And the board has had your application since last week, so they have had time to review it, and they will ask questions if they have any. If they don't ask questions, it doesn't mean that they're not interested in your application. It maybe just means you did such a great job that they get it. It's pretty straightforward. And if they ask a lot of questions, it doesn't mean you did a bad job. It just means maybe they're really interested in it. So with that being said, again, thank you for participating, especially with our new application process. We spent some time this summer and we tweaked it, so we hope that it was beneficial for everybody this time around. And with no further ado, I will turn it over to the East Orchard Mesa Fire Protection District, which is Dane, and you are free to start your presentation.
Hi there, and thank you all for the opportunity to be here. My name is Dane Van Loon. I'm the Assistant Chief over at East Orchard Mesa Fire. And I'm going to see if this is going to work out. Just give me one moment there. Okay, can everybody see the shared screen all right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right, so our grant that we've submitted is regarding a very vital piece of apparatus, which is the replacement of our 3,000-gallon tender. But before I get into that, I'd like to, if this works, oh boy, there we go. Thank you all for our previous grant cycle, which was this time last year. With the approval of that grant, we were able to purchase vital equipment to continue our operations in a safe manner. We were able to purchase this combination tool for vehicle extrication, 9 of these 800 megahertz radios, which allowed all of our volunteers to be able to communicate when on scenes of calls, as well as 8 sets of this wonderful brand new bunker gear that has kept them safe time and time again throughout various fires since last year. So thank you all again for that. We really appreciate it. So moving forward, our calls to service have been increasing every single year since 2016. As of last night, actually, we are up to 51 calls year to date, and we have a projected call volume of up to 70 calls for the end of the year. Since 2016, we've been 7 to 10 calls uptick per year, and we had a double call load in between the 2016 and 27 year. Our calls to service have been really picking up, especially around the county. We've been called to Grand Junction for the Rosevale fire, out in the Redlands, Island Acres, and Fruita and Cameo in 2018. 2019, we assisted on several brush fires in the Palisade and Whitewater area. This year, we've made our way out to Fruita once, 4 major fires in Palisade, one of which we were the first department on scene and ran until Mesa County was able to get there and take over along with the BLM, 2 in Clifton and 4 in Whitewater. All of these calls over these past few years have involved our tender as well as other apparatus in our department, and of course our wonderful firefighters. So looking at our totals, this is our list of calls coming from the 2011 year all the way up to the 2020 year. Focusing right here on our 2016 moving forward, as you can see, we've had these great slight increases. Looking at our percentages over a 5-year average, our brush wildland is now 24.1% of our call volume, where obviously EMS is always the highest in call volume in any fire department at 51.3%. We're starting to pick up on our structure fire calls. Auto accidents are starting to pick up as well. We've only had about one structure fire in our department a year since 2016, and all the rest have actually been outside sources, Clifton, Palisade, which again, all have involved our tender due to its larger water capacity and capabilities, which does help out, especially in areas that where we have lower sources of water in our hydrants. So the vehicle that we are looking to replace, Tender 61, it's a 1970 Ford F900. It has a Detroit diesel. It's a 13-speed manual. Only 2 of our members are proficient enough to drive this vehicle with a truck driving history. Myself and another one, we haven't driven something of this magnitude in a while, so it's a little slower to get the scene, but we can get there. It was built right here in Mesa County in Clifton. It was built from a retired dump truck frame and cab. And the one thing that we're running into problems-wise is parts are really hard for us to find. And our biggest bill that we've had was about $5,000 2 years ago when the driveline snapped on us, and the tender was out of service for a period of time. And it happened right before, thankfully, before fire season kicked off. And if it wasn't for one of our members actually having a picture with the part number on it, we were able to cross-reference and find a drive shaft that fit just barely, but not made for this vehicle. Here's some photos of the tender as it currently stands in our station. As you can see, there's really outdated safety features that come towards for this here. We do have seat belts, have no worries. They are just lap belts, 13 speed, and it is really, really difficult to operate all the way around if you're not familiar and proficient with the driving. So what are we looking to purchase here? Currently, what we can find on the market for a suitable replacement that are at 3,000 gallons, there are 2 different tenders that we have found. One of them is actually local here in the state in Ridgeway, the Ridgeway Fire Department. Being able to purchase a local apparatus it just makes more sense for us. It's not only going to help out our department, but it's also going to help out another local state department. Getting the apparatus is going to be a whole lot easier. We are able to drive to it and drive back. We won't require plane tickets to different states or shipping costs to get it over here. And this particular piece of apparatus is $3,000 below our projected total project cost. The other unit we found so far is online from a department somewhere in the northeast end of the state. I'm still trying to figure out exactly where it is, but it's through a broker. And it is right at the maximum request of this project. And we still will have that extra expenditure, plane tickets to pick it up, or potential shipping costs, which our department will be paying for out of pocket. Both units have 3,000 gallon water capacity, pump and roll, which means we are able to run the pump and move the vehicle forward with water still running with no issues. And these vehicles are a lot more up to date with current safety features.
Hey, Dan.
So, go ahead.
We're at 5.
Oh, okay. So other than that, yep, thank you for your time.
Board members, questions?
What year was the other truck? The one in Ridgeway was 97 or 99?
This Tender 1212 is a 2000 model year, sir.
Okay, and what's the other one?
The other one's in 1999.
Okay.
And one moment, I can pull those up. That was, there you go.
The operation of these vehicles will be there. Oh, I see it here. They're both automatic transmission. They'll
Yes,
be
sir,
much
they are.
easier to operate.
Much easier to operate. And as you can see, much newer, a lot easier. Safety features are there. And they do have a lot better firefighting capabilities than our current tender does.
Dan, I'm curious, if you look at the increases in calls that you guys are receiving, you're on a pretty good incline there. much more than the growth of the county. So you guys are getting a higher percentage of calls than you used to be.
Yes, sir, we are.
Is it that other departments are trusting you more, or why is that?
So we, all the departments in the Valley have a mutual aid contract. So depending on the situation and the need for apparatus, anytime that we're called upon, we go anywhere within the Mesa County boundaries. I believe a lot of it does have to do with trust. Myself and the rest of our command staff have worked really hard over the past 3 years to bring the department from what it used to be to what it is today, which is a better trained, safer equipment department that is able to offer a better service to our residents and just the county in general. And since I had joined in 2016, where we only had a membership of about 13, we're now at 22 with people that actually are at the station to increase our call response, or reduce our call response time so that we are there faster and ready to go at a moment's notice. And I believe with those, just bringing things up at the times has really helped us out a lot.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you know why Ridgeway is getting rid of this piece of equipment?
So currently, if you look right here in the background, they have this tender back here. This is their tactical tender, and they are currently deploying that one out. So they've actually been holding on to this since the beginning of the last grant cycle. And they're having an issue with getting more and more people on. Seeing their tactical tender seats 3, and this one seats 3, but they're looking to get a tender that can hold more personnel. They are one of the larger departments in their general area, and they seem to have an issue with getting more and more people there to help suppress fires faster. So they were looking to sell this one to pay off the loan that they have on it now, and able to pull another one along with their tax base to buy something that's more conducive to what their future outlook is.
Your calls have been increasing. Have you seen the type of calls you're getting change?
Yes, 1 second. I'll get back to you there. We still have, sorry, I'm gonna have to move my laptop over. I'm on a dual screen here today. So we, our wildland calls have definitely been increasing. Starting the 2016 year, we started building up our wildland program and getting more and more people appropriately trained. And since then, I believe with our success rate of actually getting there on time and aiding in not only our local residents, but county as well, that increase has been going on and on. Not only that, but unfortunately with the dry and higher temperatures that we've had, wildland has just become a more natural thing. The structure fire side of things, our residents seem to be fairly safe as far as all as far as their homes go. We do have a section that is not paid into the tax district that is gray area for the county, but we are automatically sent that direction because the county does not have structure. All the homes there have $13,000 fire suppression systems built into the homes. So as far as all that stuff goes, it's about the same. And our EMS calls still hang out in the 20s, but it's really mostly the fire side is just starting to pick up more and more and more for us, especially for the mutual aid side in the county.
Thank you for going back to that.
You're welcome.
Further questions? Okay, Dane, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for your time.
All right. So now our second grant in the traditional cycle is the Colorado Mesa University and Mesa County Valley School District 51 grant for the Phase 2 COVID-19 Early Detection and Rapid Test Deployment. Eric, or whomever, he disappeared. Oh, there he is. Okay.
I think Derek ducked.
There.
Can you all see that screen all right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll walk you through it pretty quickly, and as always, feel free to interrupt me if you need to.
Okay.
As you all know, back in May, we decided, based on what our students were telling us, that we need to come back face to face and try to see how we could do so. And so we spent the summer really under John Marshall and Amy Bronson's leadership, along with really just what's, I think, it's kind of a mystery to the Front Range about how we're making it work. But as you all are familiar, we just tend to do things really very closely aligned with one another, and having two major hospitals, St. Mary's and Community Hospital, as well as the Piton Foundation from Denver, but Mesa County Public Health. And so really, Community, St. Mary's, Mesa County Public Health helped us with this group of medical and health advisors. And so pulling together expertise from epidemiologists to infectious disease experts, et cetera. And so giving them then a glimpse at what our plan is. And as you recall, the CDC, as we were getting ready to come back, really told everyone, as did the State Department of Health, not to test everyone, but based on their input and their expertise, we made a decision to go ahead and do that. So we did about 8,400 tests, ended up with 37 positives. Now, mind you, those were before they came to campus. And so we required them to test. And then if they were positive, to quarantine and then come to campus, so we could make sure that we knew that folks as they came, as much as you can, knew that folks as they were coming were clean. And then we follow that up with randomized testing or surveillance testing. And that's really the subject of this grant. And so, and we're working closely with the school district and really taking the expertise we've gotten from those folks and extending it to the school district as well. And so first half of that is what's called wastewater testing. And so as you all appreciate, these individual tests are very expensive. And so our engineering and biologists helped design a system where you can put a screen at the end of a sewer line. And so we can test, for example, 3 different residence halls all at once. And so really cheaply and know with some level of intensity, do we have some positive cases? And then we know if we do, that we need to go into 1 or more of those residence halls and do some additional screening. And so rather than getting to the diagnostic test, which is again fairly expensive, we then run it through this rapid saliva test. And so this is a test that you literally spit into, as you're seeing in the video. And then we can test that and have that back within about an hour. You actually do it, I'm not sure we need to see the disgusting spit, but anyway, you do it in panels. And so we do them at 5 at a time, and then you basically bake them. And we can then say, okay, we now had 5 people, and it turns colors to tell you whether it's a positive or a negative as they run it through that testing process. And so that enables to do, you know, if you have a residence hall, for example, a couple hundred students, then we can do 50 rapid tests. And then we know that one or more out of the people in one of those 5-person panels might be positive. And then we only do the expensive test for 5 people rather than for 200 or 600. And so trying to help be able to do that at the high schools, middle schools, as well as a number of our residence halls is the purpose of our grant request today. And so it's evenly split between those two. We have letters of support from the city as well as the county health department, Community Hospital, and St. Mary's Hospital as well. And I talk really fast, and so I will stop and see if you have questions. Figured you'd rather me get through that quickly. So if you want to go back to any of those, I'm happy to do that.
Board members?
Jim, you want to talk about the maintenance of these units, how often you have to maintain them and what you think the life of them is going to be?
You know, they're pretty low maintenance actually, Quinn. It's really just a screen, and you're just picking up effluent, and then you bring it up and then you test it. And so other than it's not a very pleasant thing to clean out, it's kind of the poop screen, if you will. And so, but other than that, not bad. And then the other equipment is actually a piece of equipment that we already had on campus. Most biology departments do. And so the cooker, if you will, that that analyzes the spit tests is pretty straightforward. The chemicals we get from a third party from Darwin, and it's really Darwin is the name of the company who developed this particular test. It's a commercialization out of the University of Colorado.
Thank you.
Tim, explain,
Go ahead, I'm sorry,
if,
Mr. Chair.
if you will, what you see the utilization of this to be 5 years from now.
It depends on how pessimistic you want me to be or how optimistic. Optimistically, I hope nothing. Pessimistically, I think the predictions are all over the board in terms of will we see another pandemic and how are we going to react to it? And so I think our readiness as a country, quite frankly, is way up. And I think ours as an institution is as well. And so it's really more of a one-time. I don't know, John, if you have an opinion about 5 years from now, but I'm hoping not. The piece of equipment we will be used in the biology department, so we'll have ongoing use for that just from an academic perspective. But other than that, I think John's going to nod or fall asleep, one of the two.
Craig, the digital PCR machine in particular is a really high-speed piece of equipment. A lot of universities have PCR machines, but these digital ones are a substantially more powerful piece of equipment. And so it would allow most communities our size would not have that kind of equipment. So it would allow us to do a range of things that could expand well beyond the COVID-19 conversation down the road. It's a very powerful piece of equipment.
So would gentlemen say that you're at the cutting edge of this by getting out in front of it in this manner, or are there other public entities that have already installed similar type testing facilities?
I will tell you, and I'm going to brag on John, the range of people we're working with, from Harvard to foundations in Denver, I think our little hometown institution is way on the forefront of how to deal with this disease on campus. And some of it just very simply in manpower, and a lot of it technology. And we're going to spend $5 million trying to keep kids on campus this semester. And that is, from thermal imaging machines that identify you and notify us if you come in with a temperature, so we don't have to have somebody put themselves at risk with one of those thermometers, to cleaning materials. But testing is a huge part of that expense, and probably one that will continue next year. And so I would say on the forefront, particularly with this, I don't think anybody, CU, I think is deploying the so-called spit test, but I don't think as effectively as we are. We actually we did it side by side with our, the PPR or PCR test to verify that we thought we were going to get good accuracy last week, and then just launched it this week, testing a host of students who had been quarantined and were coming out of quarantine to make sure they were clean. The speed is the critical issue, being able to get that, not ship it off to somebody, wait. And we've been getting 36 hours, again, kudos to John, whereas in the metro area, they're 4 or 5 days. And so being able to get it 36 hours, much less the same day, is a huge advantage for us in terms of our ability to manage those who get infected. And they're going to get infected. We're going to have people who have the coronavirus. That's just going to happen.
Is this the last piece of your testing facility, or do you have other things that you need to do as well?
So this is the top end of the funnel. You do the really broad-based, and then you do the LAMP testing, and then you go down to the PCR testing, where you go sit in line and swab your nasal, and then we ship that off and get it back. And that's a diagnostic test. The other two are obviously a little broader, and are just telling you somebody in here has the coronavirus and somebody in this small group of 5 has it. And then we'll get down to, okay, let's really figure out who has it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure John will come up with some other crazy technology thing that we got to go do for testing.
That's expensive.
He can spend money better than most.
Craig, can I ask a question?
Yes, Benina, go ahead.
So is the PCR machine part of your proposal, Mr. Foster?
That's not a PCR machine. What do we call it, John? The machine is part of the proposal. It's what you use to do the next step.
And that's the most expensive part of it?
Yeah, I think the other ones, we're going to scatter around to high schools and middle schools, the one that's the effluent test. And so that's more a matter of putting that screen out at a variety of different locations. So singular expenditure is going to be that machine.
How much money is the state giving you for this?
Zero.
Really?
Yeah, we took a negative from the state this year in terms of budget cuts. So you could say they clearly are not giving us money for this purpose.
Will this be the only machine on the western slope?
I don't know. Somebody might have a lower version.
I don't think anybody else has. Yeah, I think the short answer is probably yes, because I think the closest lab that we know of that has it is in Fort Collins.
Will the community have access to being tested, Mr. Marshall, on this then, if need be? Other than just the students at CMU or District 51?
Yeah, the notion here is rather than sending samples off to a lab at a pretty substantial cost, that if you've got that machine here, you could envision deploying these not just at CMU and the district, but you could envision, say, a retirement community or other areas that we could partner with, help them figure out, and then you could do for literally pennies on the dollar and help them do that sampling. So once you have this piece of equipment, you can do very robust sampling for very, very inexpensively across the community and congregate care settings.
Thank
So
you. Fellow board members, questions?
So in the future, can this equipment be used for other types of outbreaks, flu, viruses, other things like that?
I would think so. More as important, I think, as John reflected, it'll just get used in our normal biology department, science, in terms of doing a variety of different experiments, tests, etc. But potentially, if we have another pandemic, then yeah, it's probably going to be useful for that as well. If I could say, and I know you all are on a more deliberative timeline, and so as you can tell, we're in the quicker the better. And so if you're so inclined, a speedier decision would be good for us to get these things implemented as fast as we can. With all due respect.
No problem. Thanks, Tim.
So is this equipment, I'm not sure if it has to be certified through the Colorado Department of Health to be the right kind of equipment or anything like that?
It's not a diagnostic test, it's a screening test. And so while it has a high degree of accuracy, it leads, if you get that positive, that's why we go on to the PCR test that then does okay. And that's approved by the state and the feds and everybody for diagnostic purposes. So it's really, and if you go to the effluent test, that's not approved really by anybody, but it's a sample that we know we can test and see if there's a virus or live virus in those samples. So it's really more a screening. It's more of a cost containment to be able to catch a big pool of people, a smaller pool of people, and then ultimately the individuals that have, and that's when you use the one that's approved by the state and feds.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Tim and John, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dusty?
All right, so moving on to our final grant application. It is for a mini grant, and we welcome the Lower Valley Fire Protection District and their grant presentation on the Station 32 Access Upgrade grant request. Thank you, Frank, for being here.
Thank you. And I'm going to try to find the correct.
There you go.
No,
Almost.
yes, and I can do this without. It is a very Try that again. I'm not sure why it's not coming up. You know what, in order not to waste everybody's time, I could do this very easy. If everybody has the packet in front of them, if they just go to the floor plan or to the site plan, and basically what our project is, back in May of 2018, the Lower Valley Fire District went to our voters for a mill levy increase, and that was to add the additional fire station out at Loma. So in January of this year, we started staffing that full-time, 24 hours a day with career firefighters. We have 3 out there 24 hours a day. We have an ALS, or Advanced Life Support Ambulance, an engine company, and we have a brush truck that respond out of there. But one of the problems is that the land was donated, and in the back of the building, there was an old hall building, and the grading is really horrible. So we have a big quagmire or mud pit that goes around there. So what we're trying to do is, this is phase 2 of 3 phases of the fire station. Yes, thank you very much, Dusty.
You're welcome.
And so what we're doing is, this is Highway 139 here. I have talked to CDOT, they were all in approval of this. And what we're wanting to do is, like I said, phase 2 of this, phase 3 is to resurface the building. It was more of an aesthetic problem or issue, and we felt that money could be used better. We really didn't need that for the operation of the station. And money could be better used for the hiring of personnel and our apparatus replacement program that is also part of this mill levy increase that we had promised to the voters. So what we're doing here is we do have some safety issues with cars driving around. There is a Ute water fill station right here on Miller Street, and they drive behind our fire station. And we have a new septic system between the Loma Hall and the fire station that we're really trying to protect, and we have just some temporary barriers there. By regrading this, we'd be getting away with a lot of older dirt and getting it down to grade level. It would be paving around the station on our property. We were putting in curb and gutters for water runoff, and then we'd be putting fencing in for security. And like I said, we've been in contact also with the gentleman of the Loma store and the Sinclair gas station just to the north of us. We're doing some additional work with him on a later basis. And the reason we're asking for a mini grant is that, like I said, we were going to initially fund this ourselves. We do want to kind of put some money away. We do have that Gallagher amendment. I don't want to get into that, but that's looming ahead of us. So we just want to be able to provide a safe environment. Last year we fought mud. The guys are cleaning the station pretty much every day. And the other thing about this is we had been talking, and I was not able to, but I talked to different realtors in the area about what it would do for, and anytime you do any kind of improvement to properties, it brings up property values in the area. And years ago, there was a Loma committee and a Loma wanting to improve Loma, and that was part of what we agreed with them, was that we would try to improve this station so that it would add to the general beauty of the Loma area. And that's it.
Thank you. Questions?
Yes.
Are there any questions? I think you're good. Good job. No question.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you, Dusty, for doing that for me and bringing that up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. All 3 applications being presented. I guess the only question I have, Dusty, is refresh our memories about how much we've got available.
Yes, sir. We have $200,000 available for our fall grant cycle.
Okay. Thank you. Fellow board members, anything else?
And that 200,000 is for not a certain amount for mini grants, and the big grant, it's all just a lump sum of 200,000.
Yep, and you guys get to decide how it gets spent.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We always have less than we need, don't we?
Very true.
And the problem's getting worse. Okay, well, thanks everybody for participating in this workshop. They're extremely helpful. And with that, I will wish you a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everybody,
Thank you so much.
have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.